Hi, this is Pastorsam here at Gospelsite, where we inspire you and help you grow your faith. And if you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, please do so that you don't miss upcoming videos. So today we want to answer a certain question. What does Jeremiah 29 verse 11 really mean? Well, it's a very common verse. The Bible says, "For I know the thoughts that I have towards you, says the Lord, thoughts of peace and not of evil. These are plans to give you a hope and a future." And most of us Christians know the verse, but what does it really mean? And most of the times we take the verse out of context. Well, if you want to understand more about context, then you need to subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss my upcoming video on context. There are different kinds of context. There is grammatical context, there is literary context, and then there is historical context. But in this case, I want to focus on the historical context of Jeremiah 29 verse 11. What does it really mean in its historical context? When you talk about historical context, you are looking at the events that are surrounding the passage or verse you are looking at. So in this case, it's Jeremiah 29 verse 11. So what events are surrounding Jeremiah 29 verse 11? When you read the previous verses to chapter 29, you discover that Jeremiah is writing to a group of people who are being carried into captivity. And so they are in a different land, away from home, away from their houses, and away from their comfort zones. And so Jeremiah is giving them this word. So the question is, why is God writing this message to the people? Why is God giving this message to them? Why is God saying, "For I know the thoughts that I have towards you"? Thoughts to give you hope and the future, and not thoughts to harm you. Why is God giving this message to the people of Israel who are facing captivity? Well, the answer is that it's very easy to lose focus of God when you're facing a hard time in life. When everything is okay, it's very easy to trust God. But when you are facing a hard time, it's very easy to lose focus of God. So God knows that they are questioning Him, they are doubting Him. God knows that they think God has forgotten them. God knows that they think God is no longer caring about them. They are in a far land, but God is reminding them. God is writing this message to remind them that even though they are in a different land, even though they are in a far land, they are not far from His sight. They may be in a far land, but not far from His sight. They are still in His sight. They are still close to Him, and God is still taking care of them. God still knows them, and God still sees their problem. God still sees what they are going through. God is reminding them that though they are far away from their land, they are not far away from His care and love. You see, God is reminding them that they are worshiping and living and loving God. And it's very easy to trust God when everything is going right. But when your plans are not moving according to your plan, it's very easy to lose focus of God. And that is why Jeremiah gives them this message from God to remind them that God is still loving them. God is still caring for them. And God has not forgotten about them. You see, Jeremiah told them that the captivity will last for 70 years. In fact, he says that you need to plant and grow crops, build houses, be successful in the land where you are, because the captivity will take a long time to end. You see, where you are, you need to be successful. God is telling the Jews that even though you're in the land of captivity, you still need to be successful. You still need to grow. And most of the times we have excuses because we blame the environment for not being successful. But God is reminding them that even though the environment is not so conducive for success, you still need to grow and be successful where you are. It's not the environment, it's attitude. Most of the times we don't grow because we blame the environment. But God is telling them that grow crops and be successful even in the land of captivity where you are. So it doesn't matter where you are, you need to be successful right where you are. Use the resources and use the time, use whatever God has placed on your hands to be successful where you are. And so the Jews really lost all hope, and so God is giving them this message that, "For I know the thoughts that I have towards you." These are not thoughts to harm you. They thought God led them into captivity to hurt them and to harm them, but God is reminding them that the purpose of Him sending them into captivity is actually to transform and grow their faith, not to harm them. God is reminding them He has a purpose and a hope for them. You see, most of the times, Jeremiah 29 verse 11 actually means that most of the times God does not come to our rescue there and then. You may be praying for a problem to go away, but actually most of the times God has not removed the problem from our lives. You see, most of the times God does not save us from the problem. He saves us through the problem. God did not save Daniel from the lion's den. He saved Daniel in the lion's den. God did not save the 3 Hebrew boys from the burning furnace. He saved them in the burning furnace. Right there, God joined them and He closed the fire so that the fire cannot consume them. God sometimes and most of the times does not save us from the problem, but saves us through the problem. That is what Jeremiah 29 verse 11 means. It means that God most of the times does not remove the problem from our lives, but sustains us and comforts us and goes through the problem with us. It means that God, when you're going through a hard time, does not forsake you. You are not alone when you're going through a hard time. You are not alone when you're going through that challenge. But God has promised to be with you through the problem. It means that God will sustain you and give you the power so that you may not be overwhelmed by the problem you're facing. That is what Jeremiah 9 verse 11 means. It does not mean that God will immediately come to your rescue and remove the problem. It means that God sometimes not remove the problem, but go through the problem with you. David says that even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil because God is with me. David knew that the presence of God is more important than the problem he was facing. So God may not take away the problem from your life, but God will still give you the peace. God will still give you the power to keep you sustained even through the problem you may be facing. And that is what Jeremiah 9 means. It means that God has the power to sustain you. The same power that God uses to remove the problem from our lives, the same power that God uses to sustain us through the problem. And when your problem is not going, when you're praying about it and it's not going, know and claim God's promise, because God has promised to be with you through the problem till the very end. God has never promised that we will not have problems as Christians. You see, Christianity is not a problem-proof. It doesn't mean when you're a Christian, you are outside the touch of problems. But when you're a Christian, it means that even though you go through problems, you go through the problems with God. You're not alone. That is what it means to be a Christian, that God will be with you through whatever you're going through. So that is what Jeremiah 9 verse 11 means. It's a verse comforting them. Actually, if you check, the people of Israel rebelled against God. They are in the land of Babylon because of their sins. But still God tells them, reminds them that even though they rebelled against God, God did not forsake them because of their sins. What you may have done doesn't mean that God has forsaken you. God will not forsake you. God still loves you regardless of what you have done. God still comes to them and gives them a solution even when it's their problem. God initiates salvation. Actually, salvation is not initiated by us. It's God who initiates salvation in our lives. So God still comes to them regardless of their failures and regardless that they have turned against God. God still comes to them and tells them that I still love you and I still care for you. Even though you're in a far land, but you are not far away from your side. You may be thinking that you may be far away, you have wandered far away from God, but you are not far away from God's side. He still sees you and God still values you. He is working out a plan for you. All you need to do is trust more in God and He will take care of you. Even through the problem, God may not take away the problem from your life, but He will go through the problem with you. Just like as He sustained Daniel and He sustained the 3 Hebrew boys, God will sustain you even through the problem you may be facing. So as you are meditating upon Jeremiah 9 verse 11 and looking at Jeremiah 9 verse 11 in context, may God bless you.